welcome to the Sound Off Show. My name is Linda Kirker. I host the program, and thanks for joining us tonight. I hope you've been enjoying the beautiful Vermont foliage like I have over the last week. It's just been so beautiful. Wherever I go, I just say thank you, Lord, for your handiwork, because it's just amazing. And we're so blessed to have that beauty in the state of Vermont with all those maple trees and so forth. So I hope you're enjoying it and having a great week. Last week I mentioned Common Core education and how the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation funded with overall, to my knowledge so far, $350 million, paying off the teachers' unions and so forth, and the various states, so that they would accept the curriculum for Common Core. Well, I just want to share this. Common Core is not about standards. It's about content, what people are taught. American history under Common Core is presented as 4 centuries of racism, economic oppression, and gender discrimination. Teachers are encouraged to help students identify their differences instead of their common American identity. Gone are heroes, ideals, and American exceptionalism. Religion is expunged from New York State's account of how this nation began. The indoctrination begins early. In grade 3, students are introduced to the concepts of prejudice, discrimination, and human rights, as well as social action. Grade 4 suggested reading includes The Kid's Guide to Social Action. Well, we've seen plenty of social action lately, and we will be discussing that going forward. Common Core eliminates handwriting, as we all know. Now our students print. The basis of communication for over 2,000 years is gone. Students learn to print in kindergarten and first grade, but then instruction shifts to keyboards. Oh, that helps Bill and Melinda Gates funding, doesn't it? The next generation will not be able to read an historical document in its original or even a letter from grandma. More than 20,000 students were pulled out of Common Core's standardized testing in New York by their parents. A growing number of parents and teachers are concerned about the inadequacies of Common Core, and in particular by the infringement of students' privacy rights. So I don't in any way put any blame on the teachers for this, but I do, I just think that there's not a more important job than a teacher, being a teacher in our society, because that is, other than our families, which have their own responsibilities for teaching our children the fundamentals of life and being a decent human being, and being able to mind in the classroom, all those fundamental things. Our teachers, I've said this many times and I'll say it again, with Common Core in mind, our teachers and our students are caught in a failed system. And if we don't do anything, folks, to speak out about it, then our silence is consent, and that would be a very sad thing. So with that, I want to introduce my guest who's on this show periodically with me. Thank you very much. My friend, Don Tessier.
Hi, Linda.
Hi, welcome back.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
You know, going back on that Common Core, you know, my son lives down in Nashville, Tennessee, and they're doing a lot of stuff differently down there for teaching. And I'm sitting here while you're talking about that, and going back where I went to first grade in Green Cove Springs, Florida, back in the 40s, okay? And how We learned all this stuff. We put men on the moon. We got all kinds of things that we did
As a nation.
As a nation with the educational systems that we had. Now what we're doing is turning out a bunch of idiots and spending more money than what we did back in those days per student because of the Common Core. They're not getting the basics, just like you said. They know how to do electronic stuff like that, but they don't know how to write a letter, put two sentences together, and things like that.
Do you remember spelling bees in the classroom, phonics, learning how to sound out your words through phonics? And
in English, diagramming. Remember that?
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness.
You probably forgot about that, didn't you?
I forgot about that, yeah.
Maybe you skipped over it because you were so smart.
That's probably it.
But no, if they get back to where the teacher and the student were involved in common stuff that's going to...
The
basics that you'll carry the rest of your life.
And no matter what you do for your life's work, reading,
writing,
important,
arithmetic.
Writing, yes, and spelling,
Yes.
and learning proper English.
Right.
It drives me crazy, Don, when I hear people say me and my mom. I go, what? That is not English. And if you don't learn proper English, then that says something about our system.
Well, this is why
failing.
And like we talked before and went on air, in about 3 weeks we got November the 6th is the election day.
Yes.
The people out there listening to this, we need to be talking to people who are running for office and tell them what we feel so we can start changing it.
Not just you and me.
Right.
But everybody.
Right. And nice thing about my daughter and my son, they're involved in their kids' education, just like we were involved when my son and daughter went to school.
And
we went to teachers, parents' meetings. We monitored everything to make sure everything was good. And you need to do that because we need to prepare these people, because some of these foreigners coming to this country from other countries, they're going to overtake us. Like the people in Japan, they study longer. I mean, they're
long days in
right,
the
they're
classroom.
talking now that they want to extend school later because they don't want the child to get up too early. 7 o'clock in the morning, in my opinion, is not too early.
No.
Normally school starts around 8:30. So they want to extend it to open it up. And I don't know who came up with that idea. And then your day at the end is going to be shortened because 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock. We need to be getting our students in classes at longer times so they can learn more.
Yes, and
like you said, it's not the teacher's fault. It's government, and that's why we need to get the federal government out of our hair.
Well,
our founding fathers, we did that back in the 1700s to get government away from telling us what to do.
Restricting government and empowering the people and the states. And there is nothing, I repeat again, there is nothing in the United States Constitution, the supreme law of our land, that gives any power to or control of education to the
federal government.
To the federal government.
They should be done on a state level because we know what's best for our students.
And it's closer to the people who care about how their children are educated.
Right.
Our children are the future of this country. And if they are not well prepared, I see this country going down.
Correct. And they're going to have to work longer and harder for less reward because they're not going to be as smart and can do things. So economically and everything else, we're going to do it. I keep talking about, some of these trade business, plumbers, electricians.
Very important.
Very important.
And good money.
And very good money. So we need to talk to people about that. Now,
well, we're doing a pretty good job with that, actually.
Right. We want them to be able to balance a checkbook. Stuff like that they're going to do all their life is what we should be teaching them to do.
Yes.
All right?
Yes.
Budgeting and doing things like that so they can do it themselves.
Yes, and if you haven't learned proper English, for instance, and you become a leader in your community or at your business, and you give a speech, and you are not using proper English, you don't come across as very credible in my book, because we learned English.
Right. Like
And
you said, it also with the diagramming and all how it all started.
Oh, yeah, diagramming sentences.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember it well. So I don't want to beat this to death, but Common Core education has to go. The U.S. Department of Education has to go, and we need the people in our communities to be involved along with the state in our education system. We owe no less to our children than to give them the best possible education, and also to have high expectations of them. Low expectations get us nowhere.
Right. And we should be talking to Bernie Sanders, Pat Leahy, and Peter Walsh and tell them how we feel. You know, the state of Vermont, you know, we can be independent. We're not a big state, 626,000 people. It's probably lower than that because I understand more people are moving out than are moving in the state of Vermont. And it's all based on a lot of things. Education could be one of them. Mostly is taxes and some of these regulations that they're putting in place that are, you know, just, if I want to build a house now, and if you want to build another house, the fees are just astronomical.
Oh,
and
I
we got people running for the legislature, not in Franklin County, who want to raise the rates and the fees. And most of them are what you call Democrats that are who want to raise taxes and not do anything for the people. Now, I don't mind paying taxes if it benefits the people. And I get a little bit of benefit out of it too. I don't want to be paying thousands and thousands of dollars and don't benefit from it. That's not fair, in my opinion.
Right.
So some of those legislators, we need to talk to them, and I hope that everybody goes out and votes on the 6th, because we really are in dire straits for some people who are running who want to take our money and spend it foolishly, is the way I look at it.
You know what I resist? I resist subsidizing things, that being forced to subsidize things that I don't believe in. And I do not want our government telling me what kind of appliances I have to buy.
Right.
I'm a free person, or I was. You know, it's my money I'm spending. And it's my home, and I don't want someone telling me what I have to do.
And one of the biggest things right now, and I've been watching it, is that carbon tax and all those different fees. So the people out there tonight, and I know that a few of them are watching who probably won't vote for that, but some of the people on the Democratic side want to take more money from the Vermonters, and that's why Tennessee is getting 80 to 100 people a day moving into their state.
I believe it.
Right.
They're respecting the people.
Well, they don't have an income tax. They have a sales tax, but their property tax is not very high. As I've said before, my son has a beautiful home, and he pays less taxes than I do here in Vermont. His home is bigger. And they get all the services that they need. The education's good. And we need to wake up here in Vermont. We're getting too many progressive people involved who come in from out of state to tell us what to do. And I think it's time for native Vermonters to stand up and put people from Vermont to do it. I call them, some of those people down in Montpelier, trust fund babies who came up from New York, Massachusetts, and Connecticut and lived down in Washington County and Chittenden County and think that they can tell us how we should live.
Well, it's definitely not affordable anymore to live here. And so there are a number of things that the state can do. The state teachers and state employees retirement and health care fund is $4.5 billion
Short?
short. Just a few years ago, it was $3 billion short. So the people who are living off the rest of us, we're paying their salaries, okay, then they need to be coughing up a lot more to put in. I'm guessing that many, if not most of those state and education employees make more than the average pay in Vermont.
Well, remember that book I had from the town of St. Albans listing all the salaries of the teachers at BFA and the other schools? They're all big ones. And what got me down in South Burlington when they went on strike is that they didn't want any copay. All right, I have Medicare. All right, and I have copay. Why wouldn't they have copay? And they did. They wanted.
They don't want it.
Right, and they didn't want to pay anything in addition to that copay. All right, and so I look at it this way: Vermonters need to start standing up like our guys did during the Revolutionary War to fight off the people taking your money and not giving you anything in return. Now, the teachers, I mean, I lost all respect for them when they said, I don't want to pay a copay. And I said, I can't believe that. Because I have to pay, and I worked since I was 16 years old, and I'm on Social Security, and I'm on Medicare, all right, with a supplement. And when I go to the doctors, I got a bill the other day, $45.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
So, I mean, what makes them or anybody out there, I'm not talking teachers, anybody out there feel that when you're working for the government, you shouldn't have to pay what the people in the government, out of the government have to do?
Right, right. Well, those are good points, Don. So these are some questions that John McClowry, someone I know who lives in Vermont, who used to work in the Reagan administration down in Washington, D.C., a very smart man, actually, wrote up some questions for the candidates. And I highlighted a few of these because I think they're pretty darn good. And one is the energy mandate. Do you support the state adopting whatever regulations, mandates, subsidies, and taxes may be required to make 90% of all energy used in Vermont come from renewable sources such as wind, solar, and hydro by 2050? Do you support the state adopting regulations, mandates, subsidies, and taxes?
Well, you know, we could have hydro, but we've actually taken a few of them dams down. We have quite a bit of hydro in Vermont, right? In Franklin County, if you look at Swanton has hydro.
Yes, and their rates are lower.
Right, so we do
They're
have that.
self-sufficient.
Right.
But Vermont has been giving up its self-sufficiency and we've beaten this to death in the past, but I'll just say it in passing, that under the previous administration in this state, they were eager to give up the nuclear power plant that was 4 cents a kilowatt.
Right.
In exchange for, well, at the time it was 30 cents a kilowatt for wind or solar. Now I think it's come down a little bit. But why would we give that up? It was clean, it was renewable, and it was low cost.
And it was harmless.
And it was Vermont's.
Right.
And now, so we give it up. So what are we doing now? We're buying energy
From Quebec.
from Quebec, which is partially hydro and partially nuclear. So why would we do that? We're giving up our self-sufficiency.
Because there was people out there who didn't like the A in nuclear, the N in nuclear. Atomic, they called it. But I grew up down in Virginia Beach, okay, in the Navy area. We had the USS Forrestal, nuclear.
Yeah.
Submarines, nuclear. These guys, when they walk off the ship, they don't glow in the dark, all right?
Yeah.
But they could go out to sea and stay there forever as long as they had, supplies, but they didn't need to be refueled. Back in the day, when they refueled out in the middle of the ocean, they had tankers that they'd throw hoses over the side, all right, and we would pollute the water because, let me tell you, some of that stuff did get back into the sea. But with nuclear, they just go out there and you don't even know they're there.
Well, you know the reason why the previous administration and the more liberal thinking people, the environmentalists, wanted to get rid of the nuclear power plant to force us into heading toward wind and solar and hydro. But I think there's talk now about Hyde Park Dam or somewhere, I can't remember where it is, water. Anyway, so I don't support this energy mandate that's forcing us to end up with wind, solar, and just hydro.
Look at some of the countries overseas that still have nuclear.
They take this, in France, for years, they've been taking the spent fuel and reusing it. They have a method for doing that. But do we want to do that? No. All right, we've beaten that to death again.
Yeah.
Folks, I want
Anybody out there got a point that we could use?
Same thing.
The same thing that's about energy?
I was just about to invite people to call in on any of these topics. Should you have a comment to make or a question, we welcome that. Also, the minimum wage. Do you support a state law requiring that all employers pay their employees $15 an hour by 2020, which is just a couple of years away?
Right.
What's your point?
I don't believe in that.
I don't
When
either.
government gets involved in commerce, they screw it up.
We're supposed to have private enterprise
Right.
in this country. And if you want to go to work for a company, you and the company come to a
Agreement. All right.
agreement on what your salary will be or your hourly wage will be. And that's between you and your employer. Period.
They're gonna run big business out of here by telling us that you got to do this, this, and this. I know that we want to help people, get homes and things like that.
No.
But you should not mandate that.
You help yourself.
Right.
By being a great employee. You get more education. You work your fanny off so that you're worth more money. It's not getting paid because you sit there. It's getting paid because you're valuable to the employer. And government getting involved and in the way, just as you say, Don, will drive businesses away. And we've lost enough. IBM gone, JCPenney gone, Staples gone, and other.
And Roebuck just went bankrupt.
Yes, yep. A lot of the old traditional businesses, I think, in large part, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, because people are buying on the internet. I want to go into the store. I want to lift up the item. I want to.
Yeah. Touch it, feel it,
Yep, the clothes,
Right.
I want to try them on, so I don't buy over the internet.
Right.
A lot of us older folks don't, some do.
I don't know how to use a computer, that's why.
Well,
No, we grew up going to the store. All right?
Yes.
All right, and like you said, tried it on and say, how do I look?
Yeah, look in the mirror.
yeah.
Do I feel good in this? Do I like the way it fits? Will it be useful to me in my work or my life? And instead of having to return something or not knowing what the quality of the fabric is going to be or the product, I don't like it. I know a lot of the young people, we're from a different era, Don, and there are a lot of us in Vermont too.
Oh, yes. We're an older community, that's for sure.
Here's a new one. Yes, here's a new one. Okay, mandatory seatbelt usage. Now, is there a law that you know of that it's a requirement to wear a seatbelt? I thought it was.
I thought we do have it in Vermont.
Okay.
Vermont has it. I think the only state that I know of is New Hampshire.
Okay.
That's not required.
Do you support allowing law enforcement to issue tickets to adult drivers who are not otherwise committing an offense for driving without a buckled seatbelt?
Well, when my children grew up, we did a lot of traveling. Of course, it was mandatory that they buckled up, and sometimes I would, and sometimes I didn't. So I know where you're going with this. That we don't need, of course, I think it's all about education, because it says that if you have your seatbelt on and you have an accident, your chances of living are better by having the seatbelt. So I think we should be able to get people to do that, because I don't think anybody out there wants to die unless they want to commit suicide. But I think it's all about education. I know where you're going. I wear seatbelts. Everybody in my car wears seatbelts. But if I get in a car and then somebody else is driving, I put my seatbelt on. And if they don't, I don't say anything, because I don't feel it's any of my business.
Yeah, this is one of these middle of the road questions, because I support individual empowerment and decision making. Hopefully it makes sense. I mean, I wear a seatbelt.
I know where you're going. It's just the point being is you hate to be told by the government
Exactly.
to do something, right? And I agree with that. I think it's education. It's just like smoking. I think, you can tell people not to smoke, yada, yada, yada. You can't smoke there, yada, yada. But I think it's all about education, saying this is what's going to happen. And some of the ads that I see on TV, I don't know if you saw it or not, but this girl, she was really nice looking, and she was smoking, and you should see what her face looks like.
Yes.
All right? And I told my wife, I said, look how...
and no teeth.
I said, look how beautiful she was in smoking. Now, I can't badmouth anybody. I did smoke, right? When I was a youngster, and when my daughter was born, we found out, of course, I smoked in the car, when we found out that she was allergic to smoke. So I said, smart, huh? I got a child, and now I'm
Teaching
smoking.
you a lesson right from the get-go.
I'm trying to kill her, so I quit smoking.
Good for you.
All right. I won't tell you the year it was, because I don't want to say, but she's mature now. But anyways,
I'm sure it wasn't easy.
I said, so I quit, and that was it. And I stopped and never went back, because it was something to save her life, because I didn't want to.
At the same time,
and save my
your
life,
own.
because
Double.
I've seen some people, all right, and my brother-in-law, who lives in Virginia, now has a little pack that he carries along with him called oxygen.
Yep.
And I said to him a long time ago, I said, Raymond, you got to knock it off.
Yeah.
But he being a Marine, they never die, all right? And now he's got it there. And so I agree with what you're saying. It's about all education.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people don't want to be told, but certain things they can recommend strongly is the way I use it.
Yes, yeah. How about, what would you like to say? Well, I want to quickly throw this out and then get to the Judge Kavanaugh and all of the antics around that. Do you think that colleges should seek diversity in recruiting students?
Go tell Harvard that right now, because they're being sued.
I know. I'm thinking, okay.
I think diversity. I think we should have a balance of certain people. I think you learn from other countries, people in other countries. Like, for example, from China, right, how they live. I think that we should have a balance of, like people from Germany, Spain, other countries. But I don't think we should set a mandate that you have to have a certain percentage.
Should government get involved in that?
They shouldn't be. It should be something that the colleges would do. I think a lot of colleges like to have a student from another country. And guess what? That student from another country makes the American people look stupid. Because
in many cases, unfortunately.
I was reading somewhere in Japan how the hours that those students go through and the number of days they go through.
High expectations.
And they meet it. And they meet it.
Yes, they do.
And in the United States, we need to get going here
lax.
Because we're going to be overtaken by other countries.
Yep.
I mean, we're still the #1 country in the world for producing things, but there's other countries out there, gaining on us because they demand more from their students, and when they go to college, a lot of them go to college, and what saved us during World War II was the Germans and the Russians who helped us build the bomb. We were on long, but they were farther ahead of us. Hitler actually had a jet before we did.
Is that right?
Yeah, I mean,
I'm too young to know.
I know it. But seriously, I mean, those countries, as you know, they all came over here and helped us do the atom bomb.
Okay.
If we hadn't been done that, we'd still be fighting that war probably.
Okay.
So.
All right. Now Supreme Court Justice Kavanaugh. Brett Kavanaugh is on the bench. The naysayers who disgusted me, quite frankly, put him and his family through hell.
Well, what bothered me the most, he was guilty. All right.
Of what?
He was guilty.
Of what?
Wait a minute. In this country, you're not guilty until proven guilty.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
You're innocent.
That's right. You're
until
innocent.
Proven
That's
guilty.
Right. That's right.
And no one proved him guilty.
That's right.
It was a big farce.
It was. And if what got me about her, Dr. Ford, is she couldn't remember anything. She couldn't remember anything, but she said I only had one beer.
Yeah.
And that right off the bat rang a bell to me. Said, I was at that age at one time, and I would go to a party, and I'd be willing to bet I drank more than one beer at a party. So when she said that, I knew the credibility was gone 100%. And then when she answered, when they did the polygraph, who paid for it? I don't know. So why did you have a polygraph? See, there was somebody helping her do that, and it was the Democratic Party.
Oh yeah,
and all those senators
were behind the whole thing.
All those senators that they had, if you saw, I think I might have sent it to you. Some of those guys there had to fess up that they've done some things in their past that wasn't correct either. Booker from New Jersey was one of them.
Oh, Cory Booker,
right,
yeah.
Assault. Okay,
yeah.
And look at all the money that the government has paid for some of those congressmen and senators to buy off their staffs because of sexual harassment.
Oh, a lot
Millions of dollars
of
that the taxpayers to bail them out. What I think should be done, and if I was president of the United States, or if I was, I would publish their names in the bulletin. And they were sitting up there acting
It's
mighty.
called accountability.
Right. They're standing up there with him, calling him all kinds of names. They're hypocrites because they've done it and they've got bought out.
And there's another.
And they're still in Congress, except for a few of them.
There's another list we need, and that is a list of the current, maybe even former, congressmen and senators who owe the country, the government, back taxes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that. And they make more money than most of us do. Why aren't they paying their taxes? They have no respect for the people of this country. And I think that would be a good suggestion for the 3 members of our delegation.
Right.
That we the public, see a list of what's been going on with the taxing, the taxes of income taxes of our congressional delegation.
Some of these jaunts that they take on with their wives, okay, they say we're going to go over for a fact-finding thing, and so they take themselves and they get on military craft and all that, and take their wives with them. Well, when I went to work, we went on trips. The wife stayed home. They didn't go on. So these jaunts.
It's a family jaunt.
It's a jaunt, right? So they should be. I'm not in favor of letting them. They can go, but the family has to pay as they go.
Do you know what Obama did before he left office?
I sent it to you, or you sent it to me, where he set himself up to visit all these different countries
on our time
with his wife,
After he left
after
office.
he left office with the second
With security.
right. Well, yeah, that was the State Department did that.
Yes, yeah.
And Trump got there and squashed it. Said no, it's not going to happen.
And he let all the security people know, no more of this.
No,
This
well,
is
he
not
has
happening.
security now, but not when he travels
Right,
overseas.
right. But he set this up
Yeah.
for himself.
But it was
Talk
travel.
about disrespecting the American people and the money that we pour into government.
Yeah.
That he just wanted to use it for his own travel, expense, whatever, his holidays, and it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a regular citizen like you and me, but he has Secret Service
Yes.
on certain things.
Yes.
But when he goes to Hawaii now, he pays the airfare over, he pays his room and board,
Yeah.
and we'll send Secret Service to monitor things, but that's all he gets.
Yep.
I mean, before he had it set up where we were paying for him to go there. He's going to be like an ambassador of the United States.
Yeah, right. So
I want that job.
So what did you think of all of the uprisings, these people who are, in my view, are being paid by perhaps multi-billionaire Bulgarian George Soros? I know he's paid, it was actually stated as fact, that he paid a lot of these people to go and stir up trouble. You saw pictures on TV, at least on Fox you did, of Senator Flake, I think it was.
Yeah.
He was in an elevator and these women were screaming out at him. He couldn't even close the door of the elevator.
I call that mob action.
That's abuse.
Yes,
That's
it's mob action.
disrespect.
And then when some of these people were eating dinner places, I think
Yes,
Sarah Sanders
Huckabee. Yep.
down in Virginia had to leave. And
Yeah. And others, I'm trying to think who else was.
Cruz was at Senator Cruz from Texas. He got at a restaurant. They came over. He's eating with his family and this mob because.
How rude.
See, I believed in the Tea Party when it started back a few years back. It started down in Virginia, okay? Mm-hmm. And they protested, but they did it civil. These people are doing it mobbed. And actually, in my opinion, it's going to hurt them in November.
I think so too.
Because a lot of people don't like that. Now, I have friends, okay, who is a communist, Democrat, atheist, and all this, and we get along. I disagree with them. We have intelligent talks about certain things, but we don't, bad.
You're respectful.
Right. We don't batter each other. And when somebody else is talking and giving a speech, you listen to it. You don't start interrupting them and yelling at words at them that I can't say on the air. It's bad. I mean, they're just making themselves look very, very stupid in my mind.
So much purposeful diversity, division, and dissension. And this is being propagated intentionally in this country. Instead of the pretty much respectful dialogue we've had through the years.
They call it debating.
Oh, is it?
You call it debating
when it's respectful.
Right, you debate.
You're
and
respectful.
We're having this in Vermont. Now, you go down what they did down in Burlington when he was being nominated. They were protesting down there. Give me a break. They don't even know what happened with Dr. Ford or anything. They're just protesting.
Because they're getting paid.
Yeah.
And they're being used for other people with money and divergent views. They are paying these people and using them for their own purpose.
And we have a member of our delegation who promotes that.
You think so?
I know so, because I see it. And I won't mention any names, so let everybody figure out who it is. And because they're trying to get attention, which they are, but it's bad. I was old enough to remember Roosevelt, then Truman, and Eisenhower, okay, and then Nixon, and all those guys. We didn't have that stuff back then.
No.
We debated each other, we disagreed with each other, but we didn't, turn cars over, burn places, be destructive. And it's making them look really bad. Because,
it is.
And our founding fathers, they didn't agree on everything.
Right. They had their disagreements,
right.
for sure.
And they made it known, but they didn't harm each other. They just, until you could come with a compromise, they call it, to move forward on things. But today, it's, if you don't agree with me, boom. That's not the way it goes.
No, I know. Well, I am just grateful that Judge Kavanaugh is on the Supreme Court. I'm concerned about his well-being and his family's well-being and our president's well-being. I hope they're all well protected because they're good people. They're working hard on behalf of this country and enforcing the laws. And I mean, there's such a long list of all the great things that our president has done so far. Some people don't like his tweets. So what? That's minuscule in comparison to all the great things that have been happening.
Well, with North Korea, okay, and now we're going after Iran.
Yeah, and he's brought back 9 people from who were incarcerated Americans incarcerated in other countries.
Right.
We have so many more jobs in this country by the multi-thousands, more people employed, less unemployment. The list goes on and on.
Getting back to that mob action, did you,
Sure.
the other day, or today, on television, there's a lady down in Chittenden County running for office. She got a threat, a death threat.
Yes.
Now that person should be taken out and whipped.
The person who did
Sent that letter, just like they do.
If they know who it is.
Do they?
They took if you're referring to the same one that I am, this person took words, cut them out of magazines or newspapers and put them together in a message.
Right.
So their handwriting is not there.
But if they could ever find out, in Singapore, all right, if you get caught doing certain things, they lash you, all right? I don't believe in that.
No.
But it's consequences, all right? I mean, when you threaten somebody's life because they're running for office, that is serious crime in my mind.
I agree. 3 people in Vermont have, I don't know if they were all death threats, but they were definitely threats to 3 people. I think they were all women.
Really?
Yep, I just read that.
Where's the women movement now? When they were doing this deal with the senator, with the...
Yeah, where
are all the women now?
The thing is, you mentioned the Tea Party,
Yeah.
all right? Whenever they had an event, it was peaceful, and they never left a mess, nothing. They didn't destroy stores or streets or hurt people or harm property, anything. They did their thing in a respectful way, and then they were gone. And there was there were no repercussions, of having taxpayers pick up the bill for stores that were...
Martin Luther King was one of the persons who said, peaceful demonstration.
Exactly.
All right?
And that is in the Bill of Rights.
Right. And I don't have a problem with that.
I don't either.
All right? But when you interrupt somebody talking and they say all these bad words, all right, and they harm them personally, then they should suffer a consequence, not just slapping them on the hand.
Consequences make people think.
Right.
If you just pamper them and say, oh, well, you shouldn't have done that, go on your way, and then they do it again. But if they have a consequence that they have to think about, a lot of times that will be a deterrent to them repeating the offense.
Right.
Now,
if you kill somebody, all right, if you kill somebody because you disagree with them, all right, there's a consequence. You're going to go to jail.
Absolutely.
Right?
For a long time,
That's right. So the same thing. I mean,
It's no appreciation
I have my
for
rights,
life.
you have yours, and I respect yours, and you have to respect mine. We won't agree 100% on
Nope.
certain things, most people, all right? But most people who agree with each other hang out with each other, and of course
That's true.
and that's how we get the mob. But I know in certain ones, because I've been watching TV and stuff, in the polling that they've been taking in certain states where the senatorial and the congressional delegation was close, since all that mob action, it's gone the other way. That
Republicans
red
are
state now is a lot redder than it was before.
Because people are seeing, they're disgusted by these
Right.
displays of
most people
lack
agree.
of respect.
I know Jewish people, I know Catholic people, I know men, right? We're all different, right? But we
Sure.
don't fight each other. We did have a religious war back a lot of years,
Yeah,
but we
many.
don't have that anymore. Hopefully, we're still civilized. And this is what
Exactly.
these people got to look at. To be civil when you're talking to somebody that you disagree with. all
They're
right?
being paid
Try
to
to get
rise
your
up.
point across. And that's why I don't know, when you were in high school, do you ever go in a debate?
No,
when you debate?
we didn't have debates.
Yeah, we did. We had debates where you talked your point and counterpoint and all that.
That would have been fun.
It was, because nobody agrees 100% on everything. Anybody out there ever been married?
Yes.
There's give and take, right, Linda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Is there compromise?
Yes.
So
You know,
that's,
talk it through. Okay,
Right.
I'll give this, and
Right,
you
I mean,
give that.
It's just the way you live.
Yeah,
the
it's
way you live.
called caring and it's called respect and so forth. Now, another question. Voter ID in Vermont. What do you think?
No ID, no vote.
Amen. I agree. Should you have to be a citizen of the United States to vote in this country?
Yes, I don't know, taking back on local issues, if I'm a landowner and stuff, but on government issues where the president and congressional, yes, you got to be a citizen.
Wait a
vote.
minute.
No, if I'm a taxpayer and I can vote on something, say St. Albans wants to do something and they put it on a thing, and I own property here, I should be able to vote yes or no on the property. That's what I'm getting at.
Oh, if you're a taxpayer.
Right. I got to have skin in the game.
Okay.
Got to have skin in the
but
game.
not for elections.
No. No, that's a right for American
Okay,
citizens.
would that cause a problem if you're on the voter checklist because you can vote for a local financial issue? Will that translate into being on the checklist to vote for other things?
I said I'm a justice of the peace, so I would give you a ballot that you could vote with, and then you'd vote and bring it back, and that's it. We can control that.
Okay, do you know that I am a taxpayer when you give me the ballot?
Huh? Yeah, because you'd have to register at the town clerk's office, your name, address, and stuff like that, so you'd be on the list that you could vote for.
For local issue?
Yeah. That's what I'm proposing, yes.
Oh, it doesn't happen that way
No,
now.
that's what you asked me about that, and I said yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for certain things, if you have skin in the game, say for example, Peerless Clothing, right? Big human, a lot of things there. Somebody from there, if they had an issue about something dealing with the industrial park stuff, they should have a right to vote yes or no on things, because
Not as an employee, no.
no, I'm not an employee, I'm as an owner of the company.
Well, yeah, they should have a voice.
Right, a voice, right. And the voice is, I don't like that, and so I'm voting no.
If there's a vote,
Yes, normally there is a vote.
the
in certain
business
things.
owners.
That's right. So that
vote.
way here, they have, I mean, that's only fair in my mind. But if you've got to be a U.S. citizen to vote in the state and government, the United States, like president, the senators, congressmen, things like that.
And, yeah, state and
Now,
federal.
I don't have to turn mob on you now.
No. Okay,
Because we disagree. No, here's a point in case. You feel one way,
well, no,
and I feel this way.
I hadn't thought about.
But anyways, we get
that
along,
part
right?
of it, yes.
So I mean, this is what it's all about: is agree to disagree. I tell people we can be friends if we agree to disagree. I have certain friends, they're a different party, and we debate, and I don't get up and pound them in the face. They don't pound me in the face.
No, we're...
I mean, you're civilized. It's point, counterpoint is what I look at, all right? Because it's just like the newspaper letter to the editor. If Emerson writes something I don't like, I write back, say, this is why I think it should be.
Isn't it great we have the opportunity,
You have the opportunity
to do that? And to be respectful.
And be civil.
Yes. Okay. Here we go. This was in the Burlington Free Press, folks. Sexual history survey sent to 5th graders draws complaints. In Windsor, Vermont, a survey that you're going to make it?
Yep.
Okay, good.
I need some red label.
A survey that asked 5th grade students, 10-year-olds in Vermont, about their sexual history, preference, and gender identity has drawn complaints from parents.
It should be.
Can you believe? I'm saying, what?
That superintendent should be fired.
They should not allow that to happen.
Right.
That is
That's
utterly,
not educational.
utterly ridiculous.
Right.
The organization that did it is WISE, whatever that stands for. Anyway, and also 4-year-olds, they're having gender discussions with 4-year-olds in preschool.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I know of, this is all about indoctrination, getting them thinking at an early age about sex, about gender identity, all these things, so that they'll be milquetoast, acceptance of everything in the world that you could possibly think of. But gender discussions, and I was told by a friend that there was a little girl in, what grade was she in?
Had to be
4th or 5th grade.
I was going to say, yeah.
In Essex, and she came home crying. And her mom said, "What's the matter, honey?" And she said, "My teacher told me that I could be a boy or a girl, whatever I want." Well, this is what's happening.
Well, that is not the teacher's role, in my opinion. That should not be done.
That's nobody's role.
That's nobody's role, right?
These poor kids are so innocent, and they're being bombarded with adult discussions, and it makes me...
Where did all this stuff come from? Because I remember going to school, we never talked about stuff like that.
No,
we were reading, writing, arithmetic, and then we did recess. And, I mean, what's going on with this country? I mean, that is crazy.
Well, they're trying to bring down this country in a lot of ways. A lot of ways. And by the way, there is a program where some students are being taught about, younger students being taught about the United Nations sustainability goals. 17, it was in the Essex Reporter, to teach these children about what the UN's goals are, okay?
And we're not teaching U.S. history
No.
in our schools, and they want to teach them about the United Nations?
Yeah, the United Nations that's a misnomer. The nations are not united
No
at the
kidding.
United Nations. And most of the nations in the UN vote against the United States. We need to get out of the United Nations. We need to close down that building
Send them home.
in New York State. Send them home. They're all getting benefits. All the people who represent their countries in New York are getting all kinds of parking benefits and everything else. Half the time they don't even pay
They don't.
for things that
They're
they're
immune
supposed
from
to.
anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So why our young children should be taught about UN sustainability goals when they first need to know reading, writing, math, science, spelling.
Well, Donald Trump is
US history.
He's looking at that. He's already reeled in NATO where they're paying their fair share now,
Yes.
North Atlantic
Yeah.
Treaty, all right?
There's no fixing the UN. It's globalism.
No, that's what he, just throw him out, because he's the type of guy would do it, all right? He's the type of guy who will do it.
Not afraid.
No, he's not.
I give him a lot of credit.
Right. And
lot of credit.
And all these country leaders respect him, right? And everybody down here thinks that he's doing a lousy job. But when he talks to these guys, look at North Korea. Now the guy in North Korea wants the Pope to come see him. And the Pope probably will go see him. I think we should do what we're going to do to make him come around, and so he's not killing his people the way he did, and make it so South Korea and North Korea can be friends again, like South Dakota and North Dakota. I think a democracy is working there, and because we'll help them develop, so they'll be just like South Korea. The people are flourishing down there, and I think with North Korea we can do that. And everybody thought we were going to war when they called him Rocket Man.
I love that. Yeah, I love the words he comes up with for expressions. Let's see. This is important for everybody to know. This says here, count me in on the battle to stop Medicare for all. That's one of Bernie's socialist things. Medicare for all is an extreme authoritarian program that would outlaw private insurance and result in health care rations, hospital closures, dramatic slowing of medical research, absolutely crushing tax increases, and deteriorating care for everyone.
You know what I call that? I wrote that down on a small piece of paper, and I don't have it, but it was that what you're just talking about is Obamacare
On steroids.
Right.
Yep.
And you see what happened with Obamacare? I'm better off without Obamacare. You're better off
everybody
without
is. Everybody
Obamacare.
is.
So don't believe what that is going there. I wrote it down, and that was one of my topics. And when you brought it up, I said, all that is Obamacare on steroids.
Absolutely.
I mean, I want to be able to sit down and talk to my doctor and go to a hospital I want to go to.
Choose the doctor you want.
Right.
And have your own insurance.
That's socialism is what they're trying to do.
Of course it is.
That's what they're trying to do.
Of course it is.
Backhanded
Bernie's a
socialism.
socialist.
No kidding. He says he is.
Yeah, I know. And he's going around the country trying to strum up more socialism believers. And that's not the United States of America. If you want socialism, go to Europe.
Go to Venezuela if you like it that much.
There you go. Okay.
Or Cuba.
Anyway, it's all about government control.
Right.
And getting, I don't know how they plan to pay for that, but they're going to outlaw private insurance. So folks, once again, your silence is consent. So it is time to speak up and write Bernie Sanders a letter. You can look up his address in Washington, or look up one of his offices here in the state.
Yes, one in Burlington.
Yep.
I think it's over the old Masonic
And you
Temple.
tell him that you do not want Medicare for all. Look it up, folks. Make your own decision. So you know what? Today, we're winding down.
Okay.
So thank you, my friend, for
Okay.
coming on. We never run out of topics.
I know.
Folks, I'm sorry we didn't get any phone calls. I'm hoping that you were just mesmerized and you didn't want to stop listening. That's my dream.
Oh, it was so boring you went to sleep.
But thank you for tuning in. Have a great week, and I'll see you again next week. Good night.